Perhaps you're thinking about joining the United States Army and you know that you're gonna have to go to basic training and you wanna know, where might I go for Army basic training? Well, stick around. What's up, my friends? U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today we're talking about the locations that do Army basic training, but also diving a little bit into maybe how they kind of determine where you're gonna go to so you can try to get an idea as to where you might go. We'll kind of explain a little bit how that kind of goes. And keep in mind, if you wanna learn more about the United States Army because you're about to join, you're already in, you're a veteran, you're curious, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. We got a goal of 100,000 subscribers before the end of 2021, and I can't do it without your help, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. So let's talk about this topic of where will you go for basic training. So let's first real quick talk about the locations. There are 4 Army locations, Army installations that host Army basic training that you potentially could go to. Those locations are Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and Fort Seal, Oklahoma. I think it was sometime in 2020, maybe 2019, that they actually got rid of Fort Knox. So if some of you are thinking about, hey, what about Fort Knox? Well, that no longer has Army basic training. It's just dwindled down to these 4 locations. Now, all of these basic training locations are the same length, so it's still 10 weeks of basic training. So a lot of people will say Fort Jackson is the easiest one, mainly maybe because it rhymes, relaxing Jackson kind of a thing, but technically they have the same standards at each location. It may vary slightly based on, how strict the drill sergeants are, how kind of, crazy they're acting during that cycle or whatever during that class. But for the most part, the training is the exact same at every location. So there's none of these locations that's necessarily harder or easier. It just may vary based on kind of how those drill sergeants are treating it during that specific class. So you could end up a situation where you hear some crazy stuff about the drill sergeants when this guy went to Fort Benning or when this guy went to Fort Leonard Wood or whatever, and then you hear something about, this other person went to Fort Seal or Fort Jackson and it was pretty chill, and then maybe even vice versa. So it really just kind of depends on how the leadership is kind of treating it at that specific course, at that specific time, to kind of get a good feel for, whether one's gonna be harder or one's gonna be easier, but they have the same standards. So now if you're trying to figure out where might you go for Army basic training, well, there's a few ways you can sort of kind of figure that out, especially like if you're gonna be someone doing like OSIT or one station unit training. Well, that's a dedicated location. So if you're being like a 11 X-ray to be like an 11 Bravo or 11 Charlie, that's done at Fort Benning. So you're guaranteed you are going to Fort Benning. There's other MOSs that kind of fall in that same category. I mean, you have like a tanker, a 19 kilo, that's also at Fort Benning. You have like MPs, that's done at Fort Leonard Wood. So if you're someone doing one station unit training, you can probably look up the MOS for where they're going for one station unit training, and you'll know where you're gonna go to. But for other MOSs, like 88 Mike, 68 Whiskey, all sorts of other MOSs, they don't really have a dedicated location for their basic training. They do have a dedicated location for their AIT, which is their advanced individual training they'll go to after basic training, but their basic training location could still vary. Now, if you're in that boat, they usually try to figure out a way to try to get you to go to the same location you're going to AIT. That's not always the case, but that's a lot of times what they're trying to aim for. So as an example, like my MOS, I was an 88 Mike, so my AIT is at Fort Leonard Wood, so if they can, they're gonna try to send you to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. If they can't, then you're gonna go somewhere else, and then when you're done with basic training, they're gonna ship you off or transport you over to that AIT location, which is actually what I did, because I went to basic training at Fort Benning, and then after I graduated, they put me on a plane and sent me over to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to start AIT. But there were a lot of people I remember seeing in AIT that they started off basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, and then once they were done with basic training, they walked across the street and started AIT. So that's usually what they're gonna try for. So there's a good chance that possibly if your AIT is at like Fort Leonard Wood, then you might do basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. There's other locations too, like if you do AIT at, Fort Huachuca, because you're doing intel, well then there's no basic training there. So you're gonna have to do basic training somewhere else, and then they're gonna ship you off to Fort Huachuca. So if your AIT is at a location that does not have a basic training, then obviously it's pretty hard to predict where you're gonna go, because they're just gonna stick you somewhere where it's going to be convenient to get you there to start class and then hopefully graduate on time to start the AIT class that they're trying to aim to get you into. So there's a lot of logistics that are kind of in there. Like I said, OSIT for sure, you know where you're gonna go, but basic training, it can be a toss-up. They're gonna try to put you where you're gonna go to AIT, but that's not a guaranteed thing, because you easily could go somewhere else. Also probably important to mention is, like, if you're a female that wants to join the Army and you're trying to figure out where you might go to basic training, Fort Benning is not one of the ones that do integrated female training unless you're going there for OSIT. So if you're going there to be like an 11 Bravo, to be 11 Charlie, so you've got like an 11 X-ray contract, or you're going to be a tanker to be a 19 kilo, then yeah, you'll still go to Fort Benning because females can join those MOSs. But if you're doing something like 88 Mike, 68 Whiskey, something that does not include OSIT, then you will not go to Fort Benning, as they do not do integrated male and female training for that specific kind of case, but they do at the other locations. Just in case maybe you're thinking, can I request where to go? No, it's not like really a thing you can kind of do. Like I said, there's a lot of logistics involved that they're gonna try to make it the cheapest as possible. If they can send you to a location to do basic training, they're also gonna do AIT, saves the Army money, saves the military money. They don't have to spend a flight, to send you off to AIT or a bus or whatever. They can just keep you at one location and saves on money. But it's not always available. If that basic training is already full, then they're gonna have to stick you somewhere else, and then make sure that you get off to your right AIT from there. So there is no exact way unless you're really doing OSIT. Everything else is still kind of just up to availability. If you're someone watching this video that's currently in the Army or maybe a veteran, I want to hear down in the comments section, where did you go to basic training and where did you go to AIT? If you're someone who's maybe interested in joining the Army and hasn't signed up yet or whatever, I'd love to hear, where do you hope to go to? Where is a location you would like to attend Army basic training? Leave that down in the comments section down below as well. If you don't fall in any of those categories, maybe you're not sure about joining the Army yet, maybe you're not in the military, maybe you're just curious about the Army, I want to hear your most creative Army installation post name that you would name something. They have a lot of installations that are kind of in this process of changing like the name. So there's a possibility in the future you might be watching this video and Fort Benning is no longer Fort Benning. So that could be a thing. Nonetheless, leave some kind of comment, hit that like button, and don't stop watching my videos just yet, because I got these guys right here that are awesome. You don't want to miss them, so check them out. Check out links down in the description box. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.